Hello Bambooh team and welcome. Thank you for taking time to watch this video. We've decided to put together and compile a few videos that you can watch in the comfort of your own home when you have a spare moment, just to transfer and translate certain training aspects that we feel is important to kind of keep in an archive kind of a format for you to refer to. Sometimes you just don't have time to read through long, laborious documents, even though we will be doing those and they will also be available to you. But this is just another layer, another medium that we can use to try to improve and enhance our delivery, as early as practitioners, as early as providers. So the first kind of video we would like to make, and this is something that we've actually created when my wife was working in hospitality in the hotel business, is something called f.a.c.e, as in face. So it's an acronym. It stands for Flippin' Amazing Customer Experience. If you know my wife, if you know Sasha, you would know that the F does not stand for flipping. But that being said, we have actually kind of looked at it again and realized that it applies to childcare as well and early years development as well. So what we're going to do in this video is to introduce you to this new acronym that we want to introduce into Bambooh, but also at Bambooh and You, for parents to have a quick reminder of the importance of facial expressions. We have to understand that face is not just reminding you about the facial expressions, and the fact that your facial expressions as the educator and as a guardian is not just important. It's everything in shaping the child in your care's experience. Everything. Delivery is key. This is literally your secret sauce. This is the bit that gives you, the educator, the edge. It's the delivery, your facial expressions, but also your body, your entire expressive demeanor and how you deliver information. That's the key here. Now, I've come across some really cool research, two in actual fact. One was looking at it's actually a very powerful one. The mum would sit in front of the child, and then the mum was instructed not to have any facial expressions. Child was in a high chair, buckled up and safe. And what they noticed is the longer the mother would sit expressionless, the more extreme the child's behavior became, and obviously started to misbehave. Now, if you know anything about, or if we look at free energy principle or prediction error minimization, which are big terms for basically saying that the brain, especially, well, all our brains, are prediction machines. They want to predict how the environment, especially the direct environment, will behave. Now, the harder it is to predict how something will behave, and the more unpredictable something behaves in your environment, the more anxiety will start to kick in. And remember, anxiety is not just some fluffy state or some feeling or expression. Anxiety is an actual thing. It's a chemical process. It's actually a charge of the nervous system. It's a real process that occurs to you and to the child in that moment. Now, like I said, all our brains are prediction machines. It wants to predict the world, our immediate environment, in a way that is accurate based on past experiences and knowledge and memories that we've accumulated and gathered as we grow older. So the more you learn, the more knowledge you have, the more experiences you have, the better you can predict how the world around you will behave. And so anxiety is reduced because the world is like you like it to be, if that makes sense. Now, this is very important to understand that your kids, the kids in your care, well, any small child have very little to draw onto, very little knowledge and memories and experiences to be able to make accurate predictions. They have a small world in a small, very tight environment where they find themselves. And the one thing that is the most predictable, the thing they have the most experience to, is mum and now you, because they spend a lot of time at day nursery. So and also what happens in day nursery needs to be predictive. So there are two ways for the brain to try to deal with this uncertainty or deal with this prediction conundrum that it faces. And one is to either update the model of the world. So as the child go through the world, they're adding information. You're adding information. It builds models of how certain things, certain environments and experiences play out. So this thing in my environment look and feels feels like something I've had and experienced in the past, so I'm expecting it to behave in a similar way. Now, if it doesn't, if there's a surprise and something doesn't, it's completely out of your prediction, or you didn't predict for a particular behavior or return on that, you could update your model and go, okay, next time I'm going to look out for that particular behavior. I'm going to look out for that kind of change in what that thing did, or how that environment played out. Or you can manipulate the environment. You can manipulate manipulate the environment so it'll fit the model that you have internally. So in other words, taking action in the environment to change it. Now, if you look at it from the perspective of a child or child behavior, one is learning and updating their model and accepting the reality as it's presenting itself. And the other one is taking action. Now, the negative side of that taking action, that negative manipulation, is either manipulation through emotional manipulation, but also trying to change the environment and influence the environment to get what you want, or to have the world respond in the way that you're used to, that you feel comfortable with. So that's why we see, I think, that's why we see in this experiment, the child went from trying to get mum's attention to starting to one instance, the child started throwing spoons and things to try to get the mum to behave. He was trying to manipulate the environment to elicit a response so that he can feel comfortable, so mum can react in a way that he feels comfortable to know that mum is seeing him, that mum pays attention to him, because it all kind of boils down to safety. Am I safe in my environment? Now, something that needs to be said about this prediction error minimization, or this free energy principle, is that it's not just about seeing. It encompasses all of the body, all the senses, physiological changes, in other words, heart rates, body temperature. All these things are cues that the brain is looking out for the response to and prediction of this environment. You're not passively reacting to the way the world, nor do the children passively react to the way the world is presenting itself. You're making predictions on how the world's going to behave, because it's a much faster way to interact with the world should there be a threat in the environment. So you are kind of predicting and going through the world based on past sensations, past sensory feedback. But visual feedback is really important. It's one of the superstars, the primary visual input or sensory input that the brain looks out for when it's trying to predict how something will behave. I mean, the largest part of our brain is committed for the senses, is committed to the visual cortex. So that being said, it also helps us, interestingly, to visualize. It helps us to imagine. So if you see something, you can usually play that back in your mind and rehearse how that particular event will play out in the future. In actual fact, a cool little tidbit from the field of behavioral psychology is they've discovered in shops, and to influence purchasing behavior, if the more visually, more high resolution, or clearly you can visualize, imagine yourself picking a product up or purchasing something, period, the more likely you are to take action, the more likely you are to do that thing. But to come back to the kids, so children, that's what we'd say, don't worry that children aren't looking or listening to you. Be concerned that children are watching you, they're observing you, because that's how they're learning about the environment and how something that's very common and they see every day, and also the environment in the school, how this environment's behaving. They're paying attention to every little nuance because they want to better be able to predict how the world around them will behave. Now, for a small child, they look at expression. Remember, many small kids can't yet verbally express how they feel. In fact, that's something we work on really hard, even with together with our partners like the council, work on to get expression and language up. That is key. It's so important. But whilst we get there, this doesn't go away. Paying attention to facial expressions, paying attention to body language still remains one of the most important language influences above all. In fact, it's 90% of your information gathering as an adult is still facial expressions, still body language. Now, the other experiment that I need to mention is they had an experience with like a false cliff. It looks like there's a step down, but they have a transparent perspex. It's actually a flat surface, but if you look back, it looks like the child will fall off if they go over the edge. And then they would put a toy and mum on the other side where this false cliff or this false step is set up. And the child would then be enticed to go and get the toy, but mum would need to can only tell the child through facial expressions what to do. And in one scenario, they would instruct the mum to have the baby not come down or step down or take the leap or try to step down this false cliff or this step. But for the child's point of view, it looks like an actual step. So what would happen is mum would pull a face like, or kind of don't, and the child respond accordingly. They'll be more cautious. They'll not actually go down the step. But then when they told mum to cue the child that it's great, you can come, like show this positive facial expressions, the child will actually override that instinct to not step over something that is a fall and walk onto this plane of glass that makes them look like they're floating or perspex. It's a really cool little study. It's important to say though, and this is one of my criticisms of that study, is that's granted the mum is expressive. If the mum wasn't expressive and she's all of a sudden going, do this, or no, the child will stop because the child will not know what to do with the information because this is not how the mum usually behaves. So the prediction error minimization machine will kick in and the child will be uncertain and that will cause anxiety. So that's the importance here for me is for that particular study would be to pay attention to, or is for the parent or the guardian to be expressive, but be consistent. And that's really important, the consistency, because our prediction model, the prediction model that the brain has builds up slowly, not quickly, it takes time. So you should start to see how all this ties into what you do. You have those children some of those kids are with you more than they are with mum and dad. So, we can create all the planning we want. We can make it as user-friendly as we can. The Department of Education can do all the research at once. Psychologists can do all the research at once. The key here with early years, and the key here that we need to start stressing and making it very clear is that delivery is absolutely crucial. It is critical. The best laid out strategy, the best amount, or kind of the most easy to understand content and theories and pedagogies and all those things fall out the window if the delivery from the point of delivery, your delivery, fails. If your delivery is not adequate. I'm not saying it isn't. All I'm saying is that what we've noticed and we've seen in the past is that there is almost a feeling of, I feel silly, I feel like a clown, I feel awkward when I have to over-exaggerate. When it comes to early years, when it comes to try to help the children be self-confident, understand the world, and have as much information as possible so they can make more accurate predictions of the world around them, but also visualize how something, it's like if someone's angry, they'll probably have that facial expression. If someone's happy, they'll have that expression. If someone wants me to do something, if they want to encourage me something, they'll have this type of facial expression. If they want me to stop from doing something, they will have this expression. Those things aren't just, it's not a passive reaction to the world. It is a videotape. It's a library of conditions that you're helping the child to build up so that when they go into the world, they can better make predictions of how things will react. And that's the key. Your delivery is absolutely critical. I cannot stress this enough. You need to be interesting, be expressive, be clear with your delivery of your body. If something is exciting, it needs to be big. If something's scary, we want to move back. It's basic drama, but there's a reason why drama works. It's why when you watch something like children's TV programming, the presenters are over the top. They were taught, I come from a TV background, and you would teach or you direct your presenters to be over the top, to be engaging, hold the child's attention. But it wasn't, now looking back and understanding the science, it's a matter of the child is paying attention because you're telling the child something about the world that they want to know so that the brain can better predict how a person or an environment will react when it's in that particular situation. And that's the thing. Delivery is key. Delivery is key. Your delivery is absolutely crucial for helping these children get the maximum amounts of development out of the content that we provide, but also during the early years. And remember, I keep saying, and this is something again, it's so frustrating that I have to, this is not on the main knowledge. Is there something called neural pruning? If we do not build that knowledge base now, there's a good chance the child will never be able to build up that knowledge base or sufficiently, because when the brain doesn't use certain neurons during the early years, they start pruning it off, getting rid of it. Because it's thinking, or the evolutionary process there would be, if I didn't use them during the first 7 or 5 years of my life, I'm probably not going to use them later on, so just get rid of it. Otherwise they take up, because remember, every cell has a metabolism. It takes up energy. The brain is very hungry, so it's going, I don't need this. Get rid of it, because this luxury, this opulent life that we have, where everything is in abundance, you can walk to the shop for your food, you don't have to hunt for it. This has only been around for 1,000 year max, if it's that long. Before that, things were harsh and everything was scarce, and you would die if you don't have enough food. If you needed too much energy than what was in the environment, you would die. So that's how we evolved, is to be energy efficient. But now, in a world where everything is abundant, we need to understand the more information we can bring into this child experience, the better. Now, that being said, something that I would like to stress on a personal point of view, and something we would like to share with parents, is the expressiveness phase is a phase that you commonly see in people who are on their mobile phones and people who are on devices. You might internally feel like you're expressing, like the LOL thing, where people say LOL, and then when you look at their faces, it's dead. There's nothing there. So from the outside world, if there's a child in the environment and they see you on the phone, or they see a person on the tablet, they're seeing expressiveness, no expression on the face. We see mums with breastfeed being on the phone, child looking at mum's making no facial expressions. It's scary. We need to get, work towards getting rid of it, and work towards a world where things are once again expressive and full of information. Because even me acting this way is full of information. Your nervous system is responding in a way that is making you feel a particular way. You're paying attention because I'm more expressive. There's more information. Your brain is trying to learn from me. And I know it seems awkward and I know it feels weird, but that's the secret sauce. Mind your face. And by face, it's a flipping amazing childhood experience. That experience depends on you, on every one of our communicators, every one of our practitioners and our teachers in our day nursery. It depends on you. And that's why we keep saying, you guys are a massive deal. You're a big, big deal. The world doesn't understand yet what it means for efficient, actual, proper early years education. Proper teachers. And that's why we're creating these videos, to help you, give you that edge based on science-based research, to try to get you to understand, and also to raise the awareness of how important this job is, how important this calling is. It's not just a paycheck. This is make or break for society. That being said, keep up the great work. We see amazing work being done in our settings, and keep doing what you're doing, which is, we can see that there's a constant hunger to improve and get better. We see it through the flick training. We see it through, engaging and actually actioning what you're learning, and seeing it, what's coming through the planning. And when I'm rambling off, when I'm on site, we see that, and it is so encouraging that we can find people like us who get that this is more than just about money and paychecks. This is about setting up the future. This is huge. You are a huge deal, and I want you to take that home with you every night. And when you wake up, that child's future depends on the finest nuances, even down to your facial expressions. That's how important you are to that child. So keep it up, and I'll see you on site. We will be creating a few other videos for you to watch, but come back and watch us again, and we will find other ways to remind you guys to mind your face. Flipping amazing childhood experience. That's what you do there. That's how we're going to make Bambooh the best in not only the area, but in the UK. So have an amazing day and go play.